Checking.
I believe we are here on a. Oh, I've got the big screen up. I should put the. We want to see Dean Blendel's close-up face, that handsome, beautiful face we all love so much. Dean Blendel, Zev Shalev. Here we are on the FiveStack. It's a little late because there's so much news going on, people. There is so much information and so much data and so much video that we are trying to compile that it is
so many dogs barking.
The dogs are barking. The poo has to be picked up. We've been hearing about that for a little bit here.
Yeah, just had to go pick up the poop.
Yeah, and I don't think. Are we live? I can't tell. I can't tell.
I don't know.
I need a better system. Maybe you have a better system. You sent me a better system the other day. I believe we're live. I think we're live. You have to
we'll find out in just a second.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well,
I see
keep
us.
going.
I see us. I know. I was going to tell everyone.
Do you see us?
We have so much big news coming. Yeah, no, I actually do see us. So we're good. You know, the stuff that came out yesterday from Wexner is huge, but it's not even the biggest news today. The biggest news today is obviously about tariffs. Dean is going to fill us in on all of that. The remarkable decision by the SCOTUS to stop the current trade war by Donald Trump, although he's not stopping, as we found out. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Prince Andrew. We're going to talk about Wexner. What was he doing on the stand there yesterday when he was basically, it seems to us, naming names on the way down? And that lawyer intervention, we all saw that clip where the lawyer leans in and says, you know, if you answer any question with more than 5 words, I'm going to fucking kill you. That's not a kind of lawyer you want to have.
I'm going to kill you.
I backtracked that, you know, and then, so there's like about a minute before the lawyer gets some sort of text message on his device because he picks it up, looks at it, and and you could see his whole demeanor changes, and then he just watches for like a minute, and then he feels like he has to step in at some point because Wexner is so
He's
sharing
the goods on Google and Jeff Bezos and Epstein and
Queen.
The Rothschilds and the Queen and probably fucking Colonel Sanders before he died. That's how he was into it, even Ronald McDonald. No, but I'm serious. Yesterday and today, we have had 3 or 4 fucking stories that would define a week, possibly a month, generally, in a news cycle. And because of the gift of this fascist, rapist, pedophile, felon president, we get them all in 24 hours. And I mean, we get them all in 24 hours. We're going to get to them today. 5 major breaking news stories. Just before we get started, I do want to say one thing. Congratulations on Team Canada off to the gold medal match in men's hockey.
There was something
Against the United States. Yeah,
people were celebrating and acting all like exuberant around here. And I was like, what's that noise? What's that noise around here? Something about
because our heart and soul is at center stage right now. And I'm watching literally even the Canadian news channels. They're like getting sound bites from Donald Trump going, Canada's the 51st state. And they're going, Canada, USA, hockey, gold medal game. Like they're ginning us up for this. And I don't need to be ginned up. Like I literally, I was in a meeting and I was doing a one-on-one with Denver Riggleman where we're going to talk about some of the things we talked about today.
Oh, that's also
because he was on the J6 committee.
Huge.
Massive fucking story.
Yeah.
He's just going to start releasing J6 texts. Like fucking crazy. We got to 5 of them today. Get to a few today too. And the game's on in the background, and I'm like, I don't even want to be here right now. Like, I'm doing this incredible content, then we had this massive meeting after with a bunch of people, and I'm like, I just want to go watch the hockey game. So out of the corner of my eye, I'm watching the game, and they score with 35.2 seconds left, Canada, to make it 3-2. They were down 2-dick halfway through the second period, and I had such a fucking hard time. Not like throwing my phone across the room, jumping up and down like an idiot because I'm in literally a business meeting with a bunch of people.
I mean, listen, if that's what turns you on, that's what turns you on, and I support you. And anyone in Canada who wants to get excited about Canada winning was it women's, right? Or was it men's? What was
men beat the Finns. Canada lost a gold medal to the women yesterday. The U.S.
The men won.
The men.
Okay.
Men won today. Yeah.
See, I just ignore the sports thing. The sport thing is like, I don't know. It's like
your brain doesn't go that way, dude. Your brain doesn't go that way. It's like you with show tunes and dancing at clubs.
I don't even like show tunes.
I'm not interested.
I can dance, but I don't like show tunes. Show tunes.
Yeah, well, I do like when you say I like to go and dance and get my groove on in a gold lame shirt. I don't get that. I don't understand
gold lame shirts. I have nothing like that.
I'm going to get you one.
You will. Thank you. I can't wait. That'll be just what I wanted. So there's lots of big news. Let's get into the top 5. In fact, the number 1 story is our breaking news story today. So we're going to lead with number 1 just because it's so big. And this is it. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 this morning that Donald Trump never had the authority to impose tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Chief Justice Roberts, joined by Gorsuch, Barrett, and 3 liberal justices, held that IEEPA does not grant the president the power to set tariffs, and no president in the law's half-century history ever tried to use it the way until Trump did. Of course, he came out a little bit later on saying, screw that, I'm going to figure out another way to do this. Angry press conference, but it really doesn't matter. It still means that they'll have to litigate whatever he does next again. In the meantime, the tariffs war, the whole tariff strategy of this president is a disaster and is now going to cost us billions of dollars.
Yeah, it was a tough day for Trump, tough day for the taxpayer in the United States. Effectively, what he did with these tariffs is he imposed a massive tax on the American people. Now, you paid for that tax. Just want you to know. And we'll explain a couple things about who's getting rich off this no matter what happens, but you paid for that tax. Now, Donald Trump is using this as a piggy bank, a way to get people to give him money for his crypto, World Liberty Financial. I'll take these tariffs off if you send me $1 billion. I'll give you a better deal if you give me this airplane. I'll give you this deal if you put up a fucking hotel in the middle of the strip in Damascus. That'd be great. That'd be great. Same thing with Dubai. UAE, can you do this for me? I won't tariff you. Okay, yeah, we'll do it for you. Now, here's the catch. A lot of countries bought into that. A lot of countries just assumed that Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, could do whatever he wanted. We'll get to what he said today because he reiterated he can do whatever he wanted. And no, this game isn't over, even though it's fucking over, legally over. When the Supreme Court says go fuck yourself, you go fuck yourself. It's the Supreme Court. Doesn't matter how shitty of an individual is involved in that decision, or the decision going your way or the other way. It doesn't matter. When the Supreme, that's the backstop for the law. He
accused them today of being foreign influenced, of being like a foreign owned, which they may be, but it's his allies that are foreign owning them, and they still ruled against him. But I mean, I've never heard a president say anything like that. That's insane.
No, especially about the Supreme Court, because these people, they're very biased. Like they're experts in the law. They're all compromised individually on some level. I would say 3 or 4 maybe aren't. Clarence Thomas, remember his name for later in this thing. They're definitely just as afraid of Donald Trump. Yeah, definitely. They're just as afraid of Donald Trump as you are. And if you'll notice some of the dissensions, right? Kavanaugh dissented. He's like, I don't know. Clarence Thomas dissented. Going, I don't know. John Roberts did not. Neil Gorsuch did. There are so many fucking hidden Easter eggs in this decision that the Supreme Court basically
Gorsuch didn't dissent, by the way. Just to be accurate.
Oh, he didn't?
Yeah, sorry.
He voted for it?
Yeah.
Bad information.
So it was Roberts, Gorsuch, Barrett, and the 3 liberal judges. But anyhow, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. And here's the really fascinating part is that a lot of those countries that bought into it now are owed billions of dollars. A lot of people that had to soak in these tariff costs so that you wouldn't try to pass them off to the consumer, which is effectively where they all get passed off over anyway. They would soak up 20%, 30%, 40%. Some were really kind and just soaked up half. But generally speaking, it was a free-for-all for Donald Trump. Well, the Supreme Court basically said you can't just do that willy-nilly. That's Congress's job. You're not allowed to do it. So we're going to gut your ability to do IEEPA shit. And Donald Trump just spent the last, I don't know, hour losing whatever is left of his mind, where he went on a fucking tangent with Howard Lutnick standing right next to him. Nutlick, the nanny trader, the Epstein nanny trader. Yeah. Nutlick standing next to him, who stands to make billions because he's already pieced off people who've lost tariff money at pennies on the dollar, and they've all signed agreements with Lutnick and his sons at Cantor Fitzgerald to be reimbursed the full amount of those tariffs should those tariffs be ruled illegal, which they were today. So Lutnick faking a look on his face like he was upset. He was like, well, that's too bad.
Well, he has to repay that, doesn't he?
Well, the United States has to repay $134 billion in tariff taxes.
Doesn't he have to repay it? Isn't that the scheme that he's good? So he'll just receive the money.
No, he receives the money, and what he's done is he's advanced certain businesses, people, their tariff rebate, if indeed the tariffs were going to be illegal. And so, for 25 cents on the dollar, he's like, I'll give you this 25 cents on the dollar, the 75 cents on the dollar. I get it all back.
I don't know, Dean, that sounds like a conflict. That sounds like a conflict of interest. If you're actually the guy regulating the actual tariffs, and then you're also giving people loans in advance of it tanking. Oh, that's really interesting that he did that. Not surprising from Mr. Lutnick, who, of course, is involved in this other financial scheme we've been describing. This is actually, by the way, no surprise that these same people who are involved in this financial scheme, the tariff scheme, the same people who were involved in the 2008 crash, the same people who were involved in the 1987 crash, not a surprise to me, not a surprise to you, it shouldn't be, because these are the same people, the same network that were involved in those schemes, back at it again, and this time they've got the presidency. So it's no surprise. But he's got this new Section 301, Section 232. These are alternative legal means that they think they can impose now. What does that mean? Do you know what it means? It's like it's 10% across the board, I think he's trying to impose.
Yeah, so he's got, so they're taking away his emergency actions power, right? So he's got to find, as far as I understood his rant today, because it's very difficult to follow him because he was slurring again and it looked real fucking tired from yesterday, where he slept during his Board of Peace meeting, which, my God, we don't have time to cover today, but what a fucking awesome, hilarious open mic leader. It was fucking good. Is this low energy, angry fucking rant where he said, I could ruin countries. I could destroy countries, but I can't charge him even $1. I can't charge him a fucking $1. I could just end trade. Like, just basically tried to threaten everybody, but the fucking cat's out of the bag. And he said and reading, obviously, because he doesn't know these statutes or these policies or these codes, Section 302, Section 303, these two different triggers that he has at his disposal to keep these tariffs in place, and this other trigger not related to his emergency powers, which he doesn't have anymore, as you know, he's allowed to now slap another 10% on everything that comes into the United States from a tariff country.
He says he's allowed, but this will be challenged as well by the Supreme Court. In fact, in Roberts' decision, it says, yes, you have these other powers. Kavanaugh pointed them out. But if you do those, we're going to have to come back at this and relitigate this entire process. So you're not guaranteed that those are going to stick anyhow. And at this point, he's got no credibility on the issue.
But Zev, don't you think that that's kind of the game for the Trump regime, which is like do something, lawfare the fuck out of it, run its course, and then you do something else adjacent to that, lawfare the fuck out of that. So again, we'll just be here again.
This is going to be on repeat. Point. Yeah. What's interesting is he was planning to take his only win of the season would have been to give these the dividends from these tariffs, which he supposedly was going to hand out $2,000 checks to everybody in the State of the Union address next Tuesday, because he's failing on every policy. This is the only thing that he had to give anybody. He's got to bribe people.
Yeah.
So he has $2,000, America, but now he can't even do that because he owes everybody back their money. So he doesn't even have the tariffs to pay off anything to anyone, including the American people. So it's a disaster. The only silver lining in all of this is that the economy may improve. Stock market is already up. Inflation is likely to go down. Things may actually look better because his tariff policy was a disaster. It made affordability a nightmare. So we may see an upside. But then again, with this guy, there haven't been many upsides.
No, and let me just a quick point of Schadenfreude here. Here in Canada, we have a certain segment of people, and I know that in the United States, there's that similar hillbilly dumb fuck segment of people that have been screaming at Canada, get a deal with the fucking president. Why can't you get a deal with the fucking president? And then we've got the Maple MAGA politicians, conservatives, like a guy like Jamil Giovanni, who's just a fat Charlie Kirk wannabe and buddies with J.D. Vance, doing the fake fat Charlie Kirk university tours, who went down and met with Donald Trump to talk about trade, to talk about getting a deal for Canada. And he's in no way, shape, or form qualified, number one. Number two, he's not even part of sitting government. He's just this fucking politician that is trying to big dick everybody with his relationships. To all of those people, Jamil, all of you mouth breathers that chastised Mark Carney for not getting a deal done with Donald Trump, now you know why. Now you know why. These tariffs were illegal. Mark Carney's smart. He played the fucking long game. And now anything he does will get struck down, as we now know, by John Roberts and the Supreme Court in their 6-3 decision today, that he is on fucking tariff empty. He's out of gas. He's got nothing fucking left. He can't threaten us with shit. Nothing. Because
Well, he's
we
going to
know.
try.
We
He's going to
know
try
it's a
this
scam.
10% thing that he's going to try and do. But, you know,
Won't work.
Roberts has already indicated this is bullshit. And you're right about Carney. Carney saw this. He bluffed. You know, he called the bluff and it worked. It doesn't necessarily help the situation because we're still going to have this like Cold War going on between America and Canada until Donald Trump is out of office. But it certainly is not phasing Carney, who's busy building relationships around the world with every other economy and doesn't really care if Donald Trump goes away. There's a lot more to this story. We'll keep covering it, but let's get into the number 5 story. This is officially the number 5 story on the countdown today. So you mentioned the Board of Peace yesterday. What a nice thing, you'd think, a Board of Peace. Well, while Donald Trump told the inaugural Board of Peace meeting Thursday that the war in Gaza is over, he said, an IDF assessment presented to Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu tells a very different story. They assess that Hamas has reasserted control over 90% of the populated areas in Gaza. So that entire war, that entire mess, the entire cleaning out, the genocidal killing that went on in Gaza, the supposed destruction of all the brigades and everything else that they said they had achieved hasn't really succeeded. And the Board of Peace, which has this technocratic government ready to step in to run Gaza with him as the chairman, with Trump as the chairman, are not even being allowed into the territory. So much for the war is over, Donald Trump.
Well, and a lot of winning here. You know, like folks, you're finding out that the tariff scam was indeed a scam and illegal. Huh? You're finding out that it is genocide and Hamas is still hanging in there. And they lied about the peace in the Middle East, the big peace in the Middle East. Yeah. The Board of Peace is interesting, though. These are people that are going to sit on this board and they're going to tell everybody, you know, in this area of the world, this is how it's going to be. And if you looked at the roster of the Board of Peace,
of the mafia countries involved in it, it's like the Dawn countries. These are all the mafia states.
Why?
We'll enforce peace
Petro
like through a protection
mafia states, Morocco, fucking. Like you're just like, it's so fucking stupid. And yesterday was just this incredible exercise in stupidity, vaunting itself as legitimacy, right? Like that's really what yesterday was. So you got all these like derelict fucking world leaders who, just from failed fucking third world countries that beat the shit out of, cage their own people. They're all just fucking failed states. And they love Donald Trump because he beats the shit out of his own people and shoots them. And he's like, oh my God, America's doing that now. I guess we're normal, right? We're cool. We're allowed to do this. Like, okay, good. And so he invites all those cocksuckers to join this Board of Trade. And that is exactly what they are. And yes, I'm using it as a pejorative, and it should be in this case because they're sucking the man's dick. And they show up with $1 billion check and they hand it to him. And then they go into their inaugural meeting yesterday. My fucking God, what a disaster. Honest to God, it was like broken English open mic night. It's like, and
I
here's the great
but
part.
It's kind of amazing.
Trump slept for about half of it.
So bad.
Like, not just, I'm not talking about like just kind of closing his eyes and nodding off. Like this one, where he's like, like 6 or 7 times. And there was one time where he was so fucking dead asleep, his mouth drooling on.
Did he start slobbering? Did he start like, oh God?
He started drooling and he was sweating in his sleep and he was all hunched over. This is the first Board of Peace meeting where he just announced he's going to steal $10 billion from the American taxpayer, give it to himself as a slush fund. He's got all these cool dudes in the room, and he's like, and all of a sudden someone started clapping.
Sorry.
Oh, gross.
Yeah,
so gross. But then they all wake up, right? He wakes up because people start clapping, and this was him, fast asleep. You start clapping. He's looking around. He's like, what just happened? Where the fuck am I? That is the president of the United States and a show of strength with the biggest losers in the world. And he couldn't stay awake for any of it.
Not only that, at number 4 on the countdown is the story that his allies aren't there for him anymore. Britain just told the United States no. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has blocked American use of 2 critical military bases for any preemptive strikes in Iran. And Trump's response was stupid and punitive and immediate. He's now saying there's a whole conflict about the Diego Garcia island that's busy being negotiated in terms of sovereignty. Yesterday, he announced that they're no longer endorsing the agreement that they'd previously endorsed with the British about Diego Garcia because he's upset that they can't use these air bases to launch their attack on Iran because the Allies, the British in this case, are concerned that by launching airstrikes on Iran from their territory, they would be the targets of any reprisals, which they're absolutely right to be, because that's the way war works. When you launch your planes from a certain country, then you are considered part of that effort to fight that war. So Britain is keeping its national security in mind and saying no to Donald Trump. They don't want to take part in his assault on Iran, which he's preparing for. And he says that there'll be a deal one way or the other to the Iranians today.
No, there won't. There won't. There won't be a deal. Dude, he's lying. He's making it up. 2 weeks ago, an Iranian official came out and said Donald Trump and his regime called the Iranian regime and said, hey, guys, we're going to drop some bombs in a couple areas. We're just going to have a war game. It's not going to be a real war. Just say we obliterated some stuff. We're good. That literally happened. Now, fast forward. How do we look at Iran, China, and North Korea when it comes to what's going on in Ukraine against Russia? How do we look at them? I'll tell you how we look at them. Exactly how we would all look at England and France, who told Trump the same thing today too, even though Macron's probably on his way out. That's why he's swinging for the fences. He's like, fuck you. You can't use any of our bases either. So France and England are out. They're like, you're not doing this because we're not Iran to Russia. We're not China to Russia. We are sovereign countries, and we do not want to get involved in your fake war. Because if you don't already know this, will be a fake war. This has got nothing to do with Iran. It's got nothing to do with uranium enrichment. It's got nothing to do with any of the stated reasons that Donald Trump is building up armament in the fucking Euro countries where and in the ocean. I believe in the Mediterranean, you got 2 aircraft carriers that are making their way into that area as well, if not already there. There's a buildup. Now, Trump does this all the time, right? It's like a fucking military head fake because he's such a pussy. Taco Trump means something here too, where he'll do this massive military show of strength and a buildup, and he can sell that to the guys in the Navy and the Army, and then blip blip boop boop, and then it's over, and he's like, well, it could have been way worse, right? Donald Trump will be Donald Trump in a military skirmish as well. Everything he does is designed to make you think that he is something he is fucking not. Whether it's successful, whether it's a strong man, whether it's a military genius, whatever it is. He is so fucking scared to death of starting a war. He is more scared of starting a war than any fucking president in the history of the presidency, and that includes Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter never wanted to start a fucking
Jimmy
war.
Carter, he'd win a war against Donald Trump, I'm telling you. The thing is that the real tell here is what Russia is doing. I mean, we know that Donald Trump doesn't move without Vladimir Putin say so. We know they're always coordinating their so-called assaults or their, whatever geopolitical, high points that they create together. Well, Iran and Russia are currently having joint military drills in order to convince everyone that this is some sort of real threat. And this is right out of the Putin playbook. Yeah. He loves to start a war where he controls both sides. And in this case, he controls both sides. He's got the Iranians because he's always had the Iranians. And he has Donald Trump so he can pretend, hey, these countries go to war. Oil prices will go up probably during any conflict because there'll be a shortage. That's good for him. He's got all this Russian oil he needs to offload. And at the same time, the world will freak out a little bit, but he'll be able to resolve it as the statesman at the end or, whatever he needs to do to resolve it. This is just pro forma Putin geopolitical chess playing, and it's theater. It's nothing real. Nevertheless, we're going through the motions now. We're spending billions of dollars on moving our resources to the Middle East and, of course, breaking our alliances, which are looking at us like we're crazy because we keep doing the same things over and over again, starting wars that nobody wants to be a part of. No one's interested in your game to increase the oil prices artificially. It's just a game for the oil-producing countries. It's nothing more than that.
And can we just for a second talk about the scrote of the United Kingdom and France? Basically telling Donald Trump and the U.S. military in no way, shape, or form are you going to co-opt anything on our soil to do any of this stuff. They know what that Iranian commander knows, what the government of Canada knows, is that this is a joke. This is a scam. This is theater. This is theater cooked up by Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. And to your point, he's operating from both sides. But if we know that, I can guarantee you that MI5, MI6 knows that. I can guarantee you that Europol and French authorities know that. We all know that. And so part of this isn't just the reputation of not wanting to go to war or put themselves in a position of being attacked themselves. I'm speaking about the UK and France specifically. Part of this is Donald Trump doesn't have any fucking juice there anymore.
No.
Like, could you imagine a time when either one of those two countries said to the United States, in no uncertain terms, are you allowed to launch an attack on a country from our countries?
No,
I
we
can't.
would have
I've never
jeopardized
heard of it.
our alliances like that. I mean, those alliances are what kept us alive for the last 80 years. The fact
Mhm.
that these people are not willing to jump on board is an embarrassment for the president. Every time we've had a global conflict, we've had these countries by our side. No one is willing to dance with the United States anymore. It's like we're an isolated nation, that is ignored by the rest of the world. We're a pariah nation. No one wants to do anything with the United States, whether that's because of tariffs or these stupid wars, or he's dancing with Putin all the time. Putin's not a trusted figure in the world stage. He's a mob boss. And now Donald Trump is making the United States feel like a mob country. And it's exactly the problem that all of us predicted was going to happen, and is here so quickly. Not even the second term. I mean, the second part of his term yet, which is kind of crazy.
Puppy George on the chat. Hi, Puppy George. Hi, Ann. Hi, Linda. Puppy George says he's out of cards. Got no cards.
Got no cards. He loves cards.
1,000%. You got nothing, dude. He's got nothing left.
Talk about out of cards. At number 3, did you watch this thing yesterday? I thought it was going to be a snooze
Your
fest.
Wexner stuff?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the most boring thing in the entire world, and I played it back, and I thought I'll just play like an hour. I'm still gripped in it. It's like 5 hours later. I can't believe the machinations and the revelations that this man delivered. I mean, at first I thought he's completely lying about everything. He was lying about a lot of things, but in the last hour, he unleashed some names, and then there was this interaction with his lawyer, which made it seem like the lawyer was threatening him to shut up if he.
Well, he did say, if you give another answer that's more than 5 words, I will. What did he say?
I will fucking kill you, which is not something you expect your lawyer. Yeah, I mean, I will fucking. To which Wexner laughed as if that's funny, because I would be freaked out if my lawyer said
your own lawyer threatens you with death in a fucking deposition.
Makes you wonder who the lawyer is really working for. And so, I mean, firstly, he mentions the Queen as one of Epstein's clients. Now, I don't know. I mean, I've heard about this thing before. I've heard that Jeffrey Epstein reportedly kept saying that he managed the Queen's money. But I hadn't heard it from Leslie Wexner, and I certainly hadn't heard it under oath from Leslie Wexner. And now, just to highlight it for you, because a lot of people might have missed this, here's that tiny little moment as it was happening.
Was there anyone he mentioned more often than others? More often? Maybe several times he mentioned the Queen of England.
Queen of England?
Yeah, one time.
Unbelievable. I mean, firstly, no one likes to get in the Queen's way or the royal family's way. It's a bad look, and he is.
Well, she's dead, right?
I mean, basically, he is saying, "I'm going down, and I'm going to take everybody I can bring down with me." And there's no other way to look at this entire thing, because he just kept going on and on and on. And I'll show you a progression of tapes of tiny little links here that reveal how his lawyer kept trying to shut him down. And every time his lawyer tried to shut him down, Wexner went longer and longer and longer. And it's bizarre, because none of us really like Leslie Wexner. Everything he did was horrific. All the things he's done is terrible. But he is playing the last card of a mob boss. He's saying, basically, if I'm going down, you're all going down with me.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have guessed that was being kind. Never. The deceit was so subtle.
This one's
answer the question. I'm sure we all appreciate the stories. We're trying to answer the questions they actually want to be. Okay. That's very helpful. I hope it is. And could I ask you an example? But I wouldn't have had the idea. But then all the things were inventoried. That wasn't work for me or Jeffrey. It was just regularly done.
If you
question, a discrete question on a different topic. We know that at one point.
So this goes on a bit. There's 4 different points where the lawyer's saying, and a minute before he said, if you answer that, I will fucking kill you. he gets a message from somebody on his phone. It's clearly an important message because his demeanor kind of changes. He stops smiling as much. He looked a little concerned. I don't know who texted him. But in that hour, they had mentioned the Queen. They had mentioned the Rothschild repeatedly. I mean, the amount of references to the Rothschild is, for someone who...
Stunning.
Yeah, it's stunning. This is a very powerful family. You don't go naming them unless you're naming them with seriousness. The Rothschilds are tied to a lot of people in the Epstein network. They have funded Epstein through various forces and sources. One of the most frequent communicators with Epstein in terms of emails is a Rothschild. There are Rothschilds that are also connected to the royal family, and we just saw Andrew go down yesterday in that arrest. There are Rothschilds connected to Peter Thiel, and we just revealed his connections the other day. There are Rothschilds connected to Russia, which we've been speaking about all along. Everyone likes to think about the Rothschilds as just a Jewish family. They are a Jewish banking family, but they have deep roots with all these other networks. And it's interesting. It's just interesting that these are the names that come up. And the way it comes up is that Wexner says that he called a Rothschild to get a reference for Jeffrey Epstein. This is 1987. He got a good reference to hire Jeffrey Epstein. I've studied Epstein quite a bit. I mean, I've never heard that before 1987, Epstein worked for the Rothschilds. And yesterday we heard it for the first time. Now, maybe there's other people who've heard it. I mean, I did not hear it from Hoffenberg, who knew him at the time. I'd never heard that important fact. Now it turns out that Jeffrey Epstein, after being a math teacher, after being at Bear Stearns and being fired by Bear Stearns, he becomes an advisor to the Rothschilds family, and then comes back to America from 6 years in Europe, while he was learning how to trade arms for Douglas Leese and Adnan Khashoggi and Robert Maxwell. I don't know. It looks a little smelly to me. I mean, this is a whole thing. It's big. It's bad, and it's bad for everybody involved. And if this is a situation where Wexner's final move is, fuck you, kill me, I'm going to bring every name down that I can, and I'm going to do it in public, we're in it for a hell of a ride because there's a lot more to come.
I am here for that ride. These are names and mystery names that you've heard for a long time. And to your point, and I completely agree with you. I watched almost every second of that deposition. And not only did he not, strongly deny having a sexual relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
He's super straight.
Super straight. Yeah, super straight. Okay, whatever. That wasn't the question.
He's got his arms flailing all over the place a lot. I'm not.
Well, you would know.
My gaydar goes off on the guy. I mean, he seems a little, light on his feet. He's a fashion designer. I mean,
yeah. Wow. Let's not stereotype my gay co-host. Let's not. Do that.
I've been around a little bit. I know that there are some fashion people that are gay. I've witnessed this. I can attest to there being some fashion.
And you know what? He's in that line of work. He's in that line of business. To your point, the mannerisms, et cetera, et cetera. But the fucking rumors. I mean, there are dozens, hundreds, thousands of rumors of this. And Jeffrey Epstein, for a guy that was really good at conning people, also got a house out of it, a couple of planes out of it, some land in New Mexico out of it. He got $1 billion out of it. I mean, that doesn't sound like a guy who's just been conned, right? It sounds like a guy who had leverage on a bunch of different people. I go back to the Epstein files, 3.5 million documents that were dropped about 3 weeks ago. There's a wonderful email in there where Epstein sends a note to Wexner. He goes, "We did gang stuff. You owe me, I owe you. There's a debt to settle here. We did gang stuff." And then when he got caught, Wexner sent him an email that said, "Hey, you broke our number one rule. Be careful.
Caught. Yeah, exactly.
Don't get caught. You weren't careful." And so, to your point, there's enough out there, and he knows this, right? He's not a dumb guy. He didn't get conned. He knew what was going on. There's enough out there that he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to selectively drop a few names. The Queen, the Rothschilds, that secret society that we hear about all the time.
The Saudi prince, MBS.
The Saudi prince.
The heads of Google.
Sergey Brin, the guy who's in charge of Google, and the one name which took my breath away, which somehow has been able to escape, Jeff Bezos.
Interesting.
Jeff Bezos. And that's another time that his lawyer grabbed him and was like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Just stop talking. Stop volunteering this information. 5-word answers. That's it. That's all you need to do. And I loved it. I loved it. Like if this guy's 88, 90 years old, he's 88, he's, very old and if he's at the end and he knows he's dead to rights, it sure seemed like he was giving people some breadcrumbs that lead to some big fucking cookies.
Well,
And it sure seemed like he was overly forthright. And I don't know if you can blame that on his age. To your point,
he seemed very aware, and he did not seem like he was having trouble following the conversation or anything like that. He seemed pretty good at listening to the answers and giving people responses. Where he kept meandering, and he kept meandering into these places that the lawyer kept stopping him. There is no doubt in my mind that he's been hung out to dry by everybody else in this network. Wexner has been the guy that they had said to everyone. He's saying, "Oh, all the money came from Wexner." Wexner said in his testimony yesterday, and this part I will take at face value. He said a lot of people, very, very wealthy people, Jeffrey Epstein worked for. So he got money from a lot of people from many, many very well-heeled, sophisticated families and companies. And then he mentioned their names. So, we know that Wexner worked for the Rothschilds. We know that Wexner did work with the royal family, although it is a surprise to me to hear him say it, because I've looked very, very far and wide for that information. And there's one reference I've seen before in a Palm Beach newspaper report from the 90s, I think, where it said that some people had speculated that Jeffrey Epstein had worked for the Queen, but that was it. And so now for him to under oath say, "Oh yeah, the Queen," the same day that Andrew gets arrested in the UK. I mean, there's Andrew was the Queen's favorite son. He was also involved in a lot of shady dealings. By the way, military and arms deals is what his thing was, and he used to be involved with the same Al Yamana deal that Douglas Leese was involved with, which is the biggest arms deal ever to Saudi Arabia. Douglas Leese worked on that with Jeffrey Epstein. With the hint awareness, I guess, that the Queen knew about this stuff or was approving of this stuff. So
you can, it's funny, the details will bear it out, and thank God that you're here to give them. I love the body language, right? Where he was asked about who he talked to more. Who did Epstein talk to the most? Like who did he, hang around with, do business with the most? And he hummed and hawed for a second, and the first words out of his mouth were the Queen several times. And you combine that with the terrible day the royal family had the day before that, with Charles's and the abdication of any responsibility on behalf of the crown when it comes to Andrew, and then Andrew's very fucking bad day. There is a concerted effort here, right? Which is kind of speaks to why Charles and the crown pushed Andrew out months ago. We're now in CYA time. For everybody involved in this, cover your ass. That's CYA time. And you're seeing preemptive moves. You're seeing people literally run to like fucking private islands and can't be found. That's what you're seeing. But you're seeing everybody that was involved in this deathly afraid of a guy like Les Wexner and what he did yesterday. Because what he did yesterday, to your point, was the beginning of the great fucking sellout of everybody that was involved with the Epstein trafficking and the child rape and all the shit that went on with Jeffrey Epstein. But it's so much bigger than that. To your point, this is about arms deals. This is about the theft of $80 trillion from the U.S. economy. This is about the mob operating through legitimate businesses, through people like Leslie Wexner, through people like Jeffrey Epstein, through people like Prince Andrew, through people like this Bin Salman guy and MBS. I mean, it is on, and we're here right now, and that's the encouraging part. When a guy like Wexner starts barfing that stuff up, we're on the precipice.
And to do it in the way that they did, I'm just going to play this clip, this "I Will Kill You" clip one more time, and just because I want you to see what happens a minute beforehand, because it's just, for this to be happening in public is unbelievable. We're talking about the most powerful forces in the world. The fact that it's now playing out in public with a lawyer stepping in and telling Wexner to shush, it's incredible.
You're financially oriented. And he said, "It's not what I do, but, you're Wendy's friend, your friend."
This is just talking about how they met.
But he started doing and said, "Harold isn't very competent. Nothing's a mess.
He reaches for watch the lawyer.
Tied it up the way you think you should, way you think a professional would think things should be tidied in your financial personal life."
Oh, he's getting the text now?
I said,
he's getting shutting down right now, is what I think he's getting.
What and again, part of the con was, I don't want to be paid. And so after 2 years of him sorting it out, cleaning it, I thought started to pay him for the work. Remember what it was at the time in terms of professional fee. I thought it was fair. And that's how it happens. So I think I'm giving a long answer, but to understand in context, because if I just say yes or no, you won't understand it. I really want to understand it. And I never would have guessed I was being kind. Never. But the deceit was so subtle. Yes. Answer the question. I'm sure we all appreciate the stories. We're trying to answer the questions that they actually want to answer. Okay. That's very helpful.
I mean, that's what I saw. That's what I saw happening in that minute. That was not a that email, that message he got was.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, he just answered. Fine. He just mentioned the Rothschild. He had just mentioned Rothschild, and all these other names, all within that big block. So for me, that was a big tell that all hell was breaking loose. The number 2 story on the countdown today is this one. Sorry, 1 second. Is State of the Union is happening on Tuesday. And then we're going to get to your new number 1 story, which is all about the Denver tweets, which is incredible. So on Tuesday, the world is going to be waiting with bated breath for Donald Trump's State of the Union address. He has nothing to show for it this time. He's going to stand up in front of what could be a fairly empty house. There are a lot of Democrats who are refusing to go. At least 12 have said that they're going to go to a rally on the mall instead. But it's quite likely that the president's going to have a lot of empty room there and maybe even a lot of Epstein survivors sitting in the chairs of Democrats. He has nothing to say that is good. Maybe he can say the Dow is up. But for the most part, he's failed on every single policy he's tried to institute for this year, whether it's immigration or tariffs or really anything else he's done has been a disaster. So that is why he's in such a bad mood today. And then we want to get to the number 1 story. Yeah.
Well, his tariff scam getting killed probably hurt him, and the Prince Andrew getting kibosh, that probably hurt him. That's making him shit his pants, and nothing's going his way. So this is going to be very interesting. The State of the Union. I haven't watched one for the past couple of years. Not a big State of the Union watcher. Even when Biden was doing it, even though Biden was he was an absolute surgeon in some of those State of the Union clips that I watched.
Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah, but he had something to tout, and he was smart, and he could work through a conversation, and he could deal with hecklers. And even though he was, 80 years old, he still was really good at his State of the Union addresses. So let's talk about how this one's going to be different. To your point, the American economy is on fire. It is absolute garbage right now. He just lost his giant tariff scam to the Supreme Court. We have one of his best friends in Prince Andrew getting pinched by UK authorities by the Epstein files. Those walls are now closing in. You have a mass exodus for this State of the Union, not just from Democrats up to 12. I think that number is closer to 20. But you've got 7 to 10 Republicans that are going to refuse to go to this as well, including Thomas Massie, who plans on putting an Epstein survivor in his seat, along with Ro Khanna, which is fucking awesome. And I'm a big Thomas Massie guy, even though I think he's weird a little bit still. But he's after the right thing. He's after transparency. And he's doing it in the face of extreme pressure in his own state, publicly and behind these. Fucking just a stud. Anyway. So but then you have this swamp of the union thing that's going to be happening, where you've got a guy like Miles Taylor, Steve Schmidt's going to be there, Les is going to be there, or Lev's going to be there. All of our friends, part of the resistance, some of these bigger names, Olivia Troy, et cetera, they're all going to go to this other rally, which is happening across the street from where the State of the Union address is going to be. No one gives a fuck about Donald Trump anymore. And to your point, what is he going to stand there and say? I've created the economy. I've destroyed our relationships around the world with every major ally we've ever had. I've stolen billions of dollars from overseas and from you. I've made you sicker, poorer. I have made women's rights non-negotiably not women's rights, but will negotiate on your behalf. I've killed Roe versus Wade. I hate gay people. Transfer. What is he going to say? What does he accomplish? He's accomplished literally fucking nothing.
I ended 8 wars, and then he's going to say the economy's better than ever. The Dow is doing so
We took in
well.
$42 trillion last week that I didn't tell you about. I'm the best. Melania's movie was great.
Melania was a box office sensation. Did you guys see all that movie? It was amazing. Joe Biden stole that election. He's going to say that guy, stole that election, and we should have won. We should have won. There'll be a little bit of we should have won, and then it'll be about those liberals, those foreign-owned liberals, the Supreme Court. That's what it's going to be. We've seen it all before.
Grievance theater by a guy with dementia who can't stop shitting himself, and he's having a hard time putting a sentence together. And by the way, he's never looked sicker. I don't know if you've seen his hands.
He looks terrible. He looks terrible.
Oh my God. He is fucking slovenly. He is drooping. His mouth's off to the side. His hands, both of his hands are now black all the way around the back of his hands, and he's got mounds of fucking makeup on him. So I'm watching, like I'm on death watch right now. I'm watching to see if he strokes out or if he has another one of those like TIAs where he's like, it's unbelievable. Have you heard about this? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, don't forget.
That's what I'm watching for.
He is in the Epstein files. We know he's in the Epstein files. We just haven't seen those things in those Epstein files. There's a lot of stuff that's redacted. So the pressure that he's feeling is the same pressure that Les Wexner is feeling, is the same pressure that everybody else in that network is feeling right now, which is you're this close to going to jail. And you're either going to go to jail or you're going to, get in a circular firing squad and shoot each other to the death. That may be where we're heading, because
I like that option.
That appears to be what we are looking at right now as these guys fall apart. So, Donald Trump's got 2 options. You can stay and be the president dictator of America, or go to jail. I mean, that's how, existential it is for him. It might be a little stressful. I don't know. Might be. So you and Denver Riggleman recorded an incredible show earlier on, and you have, for the first time ever, 3 incredible text messages which we have never seen before regarding January the 6th. And for those people who don't know Denver Riggleman, he was on the committee to investigate January 6th that did that incredible job of summarizing that entire committee. Sorry, he wasn't on the committee. He was a investigator.
No, he was on the January 6th committee. Yeah, no,
he was an investigator. He wasn't a sitting member, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that.
Correct. Yeah.
And so, but he's a former congressman. He's a terrific guy. You had a conversation with him, and then he revealed these incredible messages. Do you want to tell us what happened, and then we'll go through some of these, because it's really these are bombshell messages.
Yeah, they're not really published before. Specifically, nobody has really kind of gone through them to explain them. Denver is in receipt of these. Mark Meadows put them out like an idiot. Denver grabbed them before Mark Meadows took them back. This is years ago, and this is investigating text messages between Trump officials at all levels of government, which is why they needed their phone records. So Denver's a genius. He's got a company, AI company, research company, tech company that does this kind of stuff. He was asked to be on J6. Denver Riggleman is a great follow. Go follow him on Substack, anywhere you can find him. He's going to have a breakout next 2-3 years when it comes to democracy and merit-based governance. And keep that in your back pocket. And I endorse Denver Riggleman for any fucking public service job he wants, because he means it. He tells the truth, and he's all fact-based. Even when we went through these, he had to make sure that people understood he didn't want any of this to be true. He didn't hope that any of this to be true. He was just reading these out because no one's seen them before. And I want to first get to the first text. This is from Rick Perry.
Now, I don't have just guide me here on this. Is this the right one? The one that says
it's the first one I sent you.
Here's an aggressive
Last
strategy.
word is trading as well. Yeah, here's an aggressive strategy. So this is like 2:08 p.m. on the 4th of November. Auspicious date. This is a text from Rick Perry, then Energy Secretary, formerly the governor of Texas, to Mark Meadows, who was then the chief of staff for Donald Trump. Okay?
Yep.
Here's an aggressive strategy. They realized that they had lost the election. Why can't the states of Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and other R-controlled, Republican-controlled state houses declare this BS where conflicts in elections not called that night and just send their own electors to vote and have it go to SCOTUS? Hello, the birth of the big lie. Hello,
I've heard this line before, but I don't think I've heard the entire thing.
Oh, it gets better.
Yeah.
He then, Rick Perry says to Mark Meadows, SCOTUS understands that the state legislator is the will of the people. It's not. He's lying. The public vote is the will of the people. State legislature is the will of the people, and the rule that electors are legal. Done. Federalist theory. Fucking weird. Precedent in history. It's how Lincoln got into the presidency, I think he says.
He says, I think because he has no idea. He's been told a bunch of BS.
And then he says, lesson learned by states is that if you don't control your state and do not have all this crooked shit and delays in voting, etc., and he's selling it here, then this is the way the votes will go, as approved by SCOTUS. I wonder if POTUS knows this about the electors. It could lead to some very interesting horse trading as well. That is from fucking Rick Perry. That is ground zero for the big lie. Ground zero. No one has ever seen this before. We've seen snippets of it.
Yeah, I've seen the first line, but I haven't seen the rest. Oh, we lost you there a little bit. I hope you come back. While we wait for Dee to return, I'm not sure what happened there. It's interesting. Rick Perry is about the most compromised energy minister, energy secretary America's ever had. There is no doubt in my mind that that man is as crooked as you can get and has all sorts of other moneyed interests, foreign moneyed interests in his back pocket. So whoever was floating this idea, Rick Perry is not the kind of guy who's smart enough to actually come up with this on his own, I don't think. Someone was feeding him this, and someone obviously fed this all the way to into the major GOP circles. Because I was just saying, Dean, this guy's not the smartest. Rick Perry's not he's not one who's going to come up with a thing like this himself. He's incredibly corrupt, has been known to be corrupt. It's quite possible that he was fed this by someone, and this was being fed up the chain.
Yeah, for sure it was. And you're right, Rick Perry's a fucking idiot. And then keep in mind, other people are CC'd on this, including one Don Cokehead Jr. I want you to remember the SCOTUS stuff, and now let's get to the Don Jr. one.
Let me see if I can find
this. Is the next. This is the next day, November 5th, 2021, 2:51 p.m. from Don Jr. to Mark Meadows. This is very simple. This is like he's responding to this as an idea.
He's responding to the other one. Okay, that's interesting.
Of how they can steal this election. He's responding to this. It's very simple. Through our lawsuits and recounts, the Secretary of States on each state cannot certify that states vote, and the state assemblies can step in and vote to put forward the electoral slate. There it is. That's the second text about the big lie. Mm-hmm. There it is. Don's putting it into popular language. Everybody can easily understand that. Republicans control Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina. We get Trump electors. Yeah, we get Trump electors. There is a safe harbor clause on the 8th of December. If for whatever reason you missed that, the electors then cannot meet in the individual state capitals on December 14th. So we either have to vote we either have a vote we control and we win, or it gets kicked to Congress on January the 6th. The House meets to vote state by party delegation. Now here's the catch. One vote for state in California, one in Montana, one Republicans own 28 states. Democrats own 22 states. It's a fact. When you go to certify the election, everybody gets one vote. Doesn't matter how many seats you have. So effectively, he's done this math. So there's a second out, fake electors, and we can win by electoral votes. And he then says, and this is fucking fascinating, once again, Trump wins Senate votes for VP Pence. Wins. Meaning, if we get to January 6th, Pence can't not certify the election. So this was so baked in and already figured out that was the only thing that stood in the way of January 6th working on behalf of the Trump regime and January 6th not working. And that was Mike fucking Pence, who deserves a big round of applause. And then some.
So it's fascinating to read these because they had been planning this for weeks before. I mean, they'd been, getting these fake electors ready for weeks before.
3 months?
They'd been preparing for this. They had built it up. They had all their planning around how they were going to, march to the Capitol. They had all their Russian operatives working the field, making sure this was all going to happen. And so, when Jack Smith testified the other day under oath that the president was criminally responsible for what would be called an insurrection under any other terms of, trying to stop the will of the people, he was right. And here's some evidence that we have never seen before, pointing to his own son, talking to a congressman about how they're going to make this happen. I mean, that is really disturbing evidence that is brand new to this January the 6th. And it's interesting. It goes on to mention Mark Grinnell as interim head of the FBI.
Well, let's make Grinnell, Rick Grinnell. Let's finish this off. Summary, he says, by the way, he's missing periods all throughout this whole thing. Summary, we have multiple paths. We control them all. We have operational control, total leverage, moral high ground, which is fucking hilarious. Moral high ground. POTUS must start second term now. Fire Chris Wray. Fire Fauci, 2 C's, can't spell, he's on coke. Make Rick Grinnell interim head of the FBI. He's a fucking psycho who's in charge of the Kennedy Center right now. Have Barr select a special prosecutor on hard drive from hell Biden crime family. That's exactly what happened. With the exception of taking out and firing Chris Wray and firing Fauci, making Grinnell the interim head of the FBI. Those were conversations, if you remember. But this is exactly what happened, and what Don Jr. said is, hey, if we get to January 6th, Mike Pence just has to not certify these electors and we give them our own fake electors. Job fucking done. There you go, Don Jr. to Mark Meadows. That is Donald Trump's chief of fucking staff.
And you remember, that's right, he was the chief of staff, not just a former representative, and they had a big plan. I mean, I remember a video from that morning where Don Trump Jr. was with his then Fox News host girlfriend. I don't know if they're still together. And they were really telling everyone to keep up the fight, right? They were like drumming people up, like fight, 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 don't give up, and making it as aggressive and violent as possible. So not only were they planning ahead to steal the elections inside the Capitol, they were also riling up the crowds to go in there and force some sort of interruption of the vote count that was happening inside the House. That is unbelievable that we have this now as additional evidence to support what Jack Smith was saying the other day, which is that you've got a criminal operation here. The president of the United States was criminally liable, criminally responsible for attempting to take over the American government and deny the will of the people on January the 6th. That is quite something. I mean, I've never...
Stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stunning to see it in black and white like that. There's one more here. And then I've got Ginny's as well, but I don't know where that is. I've got this one from Clarence Thomas, and then I'll try to get the Ginny one up as well. But tell us what's going on
I got
here.
the Ginny one. Ginny one is...
I don't have the graphic yet. I'm just trying to get the graphic out. So do
I hope
this one
this
first.
Is true, she says. Well,
can you do this one first?
Clarence
Thomas.
See, this one leans into Clarence Thomas, so I'll get to that one in just a second. I'll read you the Ginny one, because... Okay. What people don't realize is how central to the conspiracy that Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, is. Now, she's also a former cult freak who was involved in LifeSpring, so she had to be deprogrammed from the cult. So she's now firmly entrenched in the QAnon cult. And she watches a video. You can see the address for the video. I'll put this in the actual FiveStack post today when we post this. Hope this is true, she says. Never heard anything like this before, even a hint of it possible. And this is the title. Trump sting with CIA Director Steve Pieczenik, the biggest election story in history, QFS Blockchain 7-minute video. Says Dr. Steve Pieczenik, info, who has very good intel contents, put out this video. Basically, you should all watch it. It's a YouTube video. It's one of those crazy, fucked up, weird QAnon videos that suggests ballots in over 12 states were part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation in 12 key battleground states where 20,000 National Guardsmen were deployed. Do you remember this? Because I don't, because it never fucking happened.
Remember this?
Biden crime family and ballot fraud conspirators, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media censorship mongers, fake stream media reporters, etc., being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now over the coming days. And we'll be living in barges off of Gitmo to face the military tribunals.
I remember the Gitmo bullshit that she was imagining that is happening and everyone's like, she's out to lunch. And of course she is out to lunch. She's got a history of being like completely compromised in this cult that she was in before. But she also is the author and the creator with Steve Bannon of this whole alt-right movement that, she almost single-handedly put together with Steve Bannon. And imagine those two people together, because that's crazy plus crazy all in one location. I mean, that's very, very telling.
Just imagine that those two good-looking people having intercourse too while you're doing that.
Oh my God, I don't want to think about that. But
now this is where she's married to Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court judge.
Yes.
Now You remember the fake elector thing? Individual states should be able to decide, who they send as their elector and who the electors are for president.
Yes.
Individual state legislator power, that one, which is total bullshit. Elections are federal, even though they're run by states. It's a federal result. You can't just decide. Well, this is another text that went from, I believe, Don Jr. to Mark Meadows. This is, keep in mind, remember I told you to remember the piece where they wanted to kick it up to SCOTUS if they could get that far with the fake electors?
This is the Justice Clarence one we're doing. No, this is another one.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Clarence Thomas has consistently supported the independent state legislator theory, which argues that the U.S. Constitution grants state legislatures primary, near exclusive authority to regulate federal elections, minimizing oversight of state courts. Thomas has joined author dissents in 2020, 2022, notably Moore versus Harper, signaling that the state courts lack the authority to override legislative decisions on congressional maps or election procedures. That was them saying, Clarence Thomas is our ace in the fucking SCOTUS hole, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Ginny working on it. And keep in mind, these are four texts. I believe Mr. Riggleman is in receipt of thousands.
Yeah, he was the data capturer of that.
He's going to start releasing some of these because what is happening now is what happened then. They don't have another playbook. And I'm not talking about fake electors. I'm talking about the backroom dealing to steal the 2026 midterms and the backroom dealing and the shenanigans and the bullshit and who is involved in trying to keep Trump in power, keep the GOP in power in 2028. So that is why we are going through this exercise. We're going to do it every Friday and do another one next Friday. And you can read all about it. I'll post the Riggleman interview where he goes through this, which is super fucking powerful because he's got such a handle on the information. Yeah.
It's so important, firstly, because you're right. I mean, what we're experiencing right now is all of this again. These guys are absolutely desperate. And if people think that we're overstating it, we're not. This is clearly a very dangerous regime that has no intention of giving up power, which is why, just to circle back to all the other stuff we've been talking about today, the SCOTUS win is so important, but also what happened with Wexner is very, very revealing. We cannot take our eye off that ball. We need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. We know who this network is. We know exactly who is in this network. And if Wexner is out there in a position where he's already naming names, meaning he's done, who else is out there that's going to do the same thing? Because once one of them sings, they all sing. They're all terrified. They all want to get the deal. They all want to run to the exits because none of them want to be implicated on the bad side of this.
They'll finger other people. They're such pussies to save themselves. They'll finger anybody else.
Of course. But, that'll take them all down. It'll be a singular firing squad. And that is what they are all trying to do. You've got the right wing and you've got the Rothschilds and whomever are trying to suppress this giant boiling pot of water that contains a crisis, and they are not able to. You saw that lawyer trying to clamp down on his supposed client, from not speaking, just to try and suppress this boiling water. It is not happening. This water is continuing to boil, and they're in real trouble, which is added to this now, this incredible stuff that you're pointing to with Denver's text here, these text messages is incredible.
Oh, yeah, there's way more.
It says
and way worse.
Well, we've all, we've known all this, but it's so nice to say it in black and white again. It reminds people of what we're dealing with. Thank you.
Heroes like Denver are coming to the table. They're starting to talk, right? And not a moment too soon. And I think it's really important that everybody shares this with as many people as you can, so that you're in the know. I think that it's also really, really important that everybody understand that they'll just continue to do the same things again. I think you can take, there's never going to be a gotcha moment for Donald Trump. You won't allow it. Watching him increase tariffs on a day where SCOTUS said, you can't do tariffs, they're illegal. We're taking that power away from you. Then he slapped another 10% on and grabbed another clause to keep them in place. He's going to run this back, if not much worse. That's what ICE is going to be at the polls. That's what some of the intimidation tactics that we're already seeing. That's what the SAFE Act is. That Save Act or the Save Elections Act. That is just about trying to fucking prevent as many people who aren't white, rich people from voting. That's all it is. It's about trying to make sure that Democrats don't show up to the polls, and it's all in fancy language. Those are all little things. ICE, kind of a little thing. This is what I'm talking about. So, we see the shit. It's the shit you don't see and you haven't seen for 6 years. And here's the rub. This is why I love Denver. he said this, and I had to drag it out of him today. I said, why don't we know about these? Why haven't you published these before? He goes, Liz Cheney wouldn't allow me to go public with the Clarence Thomas, Ginny Thomas stuff because there's familial relationships there with the Cheneys and the Thomas family. And I'm like, so this is political. And he goes, yeah. And that's really the sad part for America is you could have got all the shit. You could have got all the, Stuart Rhodes, Proud Boys things. Those hard drives seem to now be missing with all of those exchanges. You could have got so much more. And there is a political ecosystem that is alive and well on both sides of the aisle that is protective of both sides of this two-party system. Come fucking hell or high water. And a guy like Denver, people like him, people like AOC, people like Thomas Massey, those are people that don't give a shit about those institutions anymore because they know they're rotten in the state of Denmark, right? They just know it. And so, those are the people we need to be supporting in this next election. People that aren't beholden to the Democrats or aren't beholden to the Republicans or not interested in the cult of whatever it is that runs both of those parties and the establishment and the horse shit. And you see it in the chat. There are so many people here that are like, you can't trust Dems or reps. You can't trust anybody. No, you can't. That is why you have to start voting for merit and values and virtues. Like you can back up, that you can say, hey, that person's words match their works. And Denver's one of those guys. Keep your eyes on him because I think he's going to be a big player in 2028.
I agree with you. I think he's always been a gentleman in this thing. And maybe it's time now for people to take their gloves off a little bit more, not even a little bit more, a lot. We're fighting for the survival of democracy. The survival of our rights, the future of a free world, a world where people can actually, vote for a government that represents them, a world where we have equality and justice, and a world where anyone can be who they want to be, no matter where you come from or what you look like. That is the future that America's founders put together 250 years ago, and it is under attack right now by a lot of people on the inside, a lot of people on the outside. And we have seen through the Epstein files, we've seen through these revelations of January 6th, corruption is everywhere and it is like a cancer. It grows and grows and grows and grows until it completely consumes an entire institution, an entire country. And it is, we have to stop it right now. This is the final line. This is the final battle.
It's kind of the golden moment.
It is.
It's kind of a golden moment for the United States and for democracy.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we can, and we will. And it's not even anything. I know that the generations of people that fought for America, that fought for freedom, whether it's here or in World War II or in World War I or in any war that we can think of going back 250 years, those people have fought for the right stuff, and they have lost their lives, they've lost their livelihoods, they've lost their relatives, they've lost everything in those wars because they believed in an idea. And that idea is far stronger than anything that these guys can put against us. We have a tremendous amount going for us right now, especially in terms of the revelations that we are seeing day in and day out. The kind of reporting you're doing, Dean, at deanblundell.substack.com, that our friends are doing, that Lev Parnas is doing, the Ellie, the name so well. People are showing so much transparency, and they're shining so much light. Even though the DOJ wants us to hide all these documents, is trying to hide all these documents from us, we can still find them. The crowdsourcing effort has been enormous and amazing, and everyone is just realizing, and maybe it's not a new realization, but it's certainly coming to fruition now, that when you shine a light at these corrupt people, when you show exactly who they are, they crumble right away. And with Wexner, we saw him crumble right away the minute he had to take an oath in front of a committee. And we're going to see everyone else crumble too. Andrew is a big thing. Wexner is a big thing. There is much more to come. This is a huge network, but it's not as big as the dreams and the ideals of America and America's people. So hopefully thank you, and hopefully we'll defeat it this time. Dean, everyone, I'm so excited about listening to your podcast with Denver, and I can get that at deanblundell.substack.com. Unlimited access, 30% off till the end of the month. It's a good deal. I think it's like $8 a month, maybe 60. I think it's like $60 for an entire year. That's the best deal. But the best deal for us is that you are just here. So thank you. Really appreciate it. All our paid subs get us to the top of the algorithm. They get more people to see this. And the more you share this, it gets people to see it. But I don't care where you are, who you're from, who you are. I don't care about the color of your skin or where you go. I just care that you want the same
truth that we try desperately to look for so that we can try to save America, save our brothers and sisters in the United States of America. As a Canadian, there's nothing more important than me. I know that 300,000 of you are being held hostage by an absolute fucking moron and his moron pedophile friends. And we're going to drive this as far and as hard as we possibly can, not just Zev, myself, Lev, the good people at the Save America Movement. Highly encourage you to go there, join their Substack, go to thesaveamericamovement.org as well. And everybody that's been part of this resistance. To your point, it's citizen-led. That's the beautiful part of Substack. So please, if you can, subscribe. If you become a paid subscriber, awesome. But most importantly, please share this with as many people as humanly possible that you think need to see some of the light that we shined on some pretty dark corners today and that we try to do on a daily basis. And make sure you join my friend Zev Shalev over at narrative.org. His new newsletter, The Daily Narrative, is incredible. And Greatest Heist, I refer to BBC reporter named Katja Adler to your Greatest Heist series today, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Any references to that, because I've got to finish that book, but so much news is happening. I keep writing about it in a different way, but we'll get to it. There's everything in the Epstein files is proving everything in the Greatest Heist right, which is always a good thing.
And the 12 most jaw-dropping Les Wexner admissions, too. You need to go and check that out. That's over at narrative.org.
And a lot of great conversations, plus the FiveStack and everything else. Have a great weekend, everybody. Keep up the good fights. And make sure that on Tuesday you attend that rally, because why not? Let's hear what the people got to say. Have a great night and a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.